Shanae Chapman, and I have over 20 food allergies, the most severe being peanuts, tree nuts, shellfish, and fish.
Hello, I'm LaRon Davis, and I have 0 food allergies.
I think the I have allergies conversation is a tough one to have. It can be super awkward. I have been on dates before where I've said that, and there's definitely a shift in tone. I think that it's important to have that conversation early though. So we've talked about this a lot. Like, should you talk about this on the first date? Should this be something that you talk about maybe date 3 when things are potentially getting more serious? Because I think the threat is if I'm on a first date with him and he orders shrimp, right? And I'm deathly allergic to shrimp. It's like, well, okay, I hope he doesn't try to kiss me. Then I have to have this awkward moment of, okay, wait, please don't, you might kill me. And then I have to spill the beans. And I think that conversation has to be handled pretty delicately because it can scare people off. So my advice is figure out what the vibe with that person is and see how comfortable you think they are. Now, that's not to tell people who have food allergies to be ashamed of your food allergies. You should feel comfortable talking about that. But I think that there is a balance because my food allergies are ultimately impacting everything that he does and decides to eat. So I don't know if you remember our first conversation about my food allergies, but do you think that that conversation was handled well? Is there anything that you remember specifically from that conversation that you feel like, oh, that was really helpful, or oh, I wish she would have said this, just to help prepare you for the experience?
Yeah, I thought the first time we addressed it though, I think you did extremely well. I think you really, you were patient, you were understanding, and you created an environment that would make me feel comfortable asking you questions, right? I think a lot of it because I don't have a lot of family members that have food allergies. So being able to have a conversation where I can ask any question that I want to you and you still understanding and not feeling some type of way of that wasn't a great question to ask, but letting me have that freedom to do it, I think also helps. So anytime you're talking to somebody with that, if they have the food allergies, just be open to it. That'll make that transition a little easier. So before Kendra, I knew really nothing about food allergies. I knew a little bit more about seasonal, right? You have friends and families that might be allergic to pollen or dust. But food allergies specifically, I didn't have anyone in my immediate family that knew about that. And then also what was I surprised most about? It had to be just learning from her that everybody's body reacts differently to their allergies. So I initially thought when somebody has an allergic reaction, it's immediate. It's happened as soon as they eat something that they're allergic to. But with being with her, she's taught me that everybody's body is different. So it might happen a couple hours earlier. So it's still important to communicate with them of, hey, I ate this, you might have an allergic reaction, or potentially you could, so that they know how to prepare as they move forward. So Kendra's food allergies has definitely changed the way I eat. Just to be conscientious of the different things that she's allergic to. At first, when I first started to do it and we first started talking to each other and dating, I tried to, just the days I knew I wasn't gonna see her, I tried to eat some of those some peanut butter or have some seafood that I really, really enjoyed. As the process went on, there was times that she would show up and we weren't expecting to see each other, but that I had to realize I had to cut it out completely because I would forget sometimes, and obviously those could have detrimental effects. There's been a few times that I've accidentally ate something that she was allergic to. One time, because when we first started dating, every once in a while, we didn't have always specific days when we would see each other. So this is a good story. So one time I had some shrimp. I love seafood. So I ate some shrimp and she told me later on in the day that she was gonna come over. So she came over, she was sitting down, we were watching TV, and I got up to get something else to eat out the refrigerator. So I opened the refrigerator door and then it hits me. I literally ate shrimp earlier today. Now there's this internal conversation that you're having of, okay, do I tell her that I ate shrimp because that is a severe allergy for her? But it was a couple hours ago. Or on the other hand, I don't tell her, and then potentially since I ate it so long ago, nothing happens. Fortunately, I told her I did the right thing because I felt like it was important. And then she let me know about sometimes allergies don't always happen immediately. So that's why it's so important. But she was never like mad at me. She was open and transparent and just made me cultivate an environment where I felt comfortable. So if this situation happens again or in the future, I can tell her when I make mistakes. And she was okay with that, just understanding of like, hey, moving forward, let's make sure that these are things that we address.
Yeah, and I think also that experience was helpful for us because I then taught him what needed to happen after that thing occurs. So, for instance, he ate shrimp. So then I immediately told him, okay, you need to go brush your teeth. I need you to drink something. You need to eat another meal. And we need to wait a few more hours before we kiss or anything like that. And that should be standard practice if your significant other eats something that you're allergic to. I also then taught him how to use an EpiPen. And that's something else that's important for your significant other or whoever you're spending time with. Should know how to do and where to always find it in my purse and make sure you listen for the clicks when you administer it and how to, at what point he needs to call the hospital, call my mother, all the important things. I made sure he had my mom's phone number at that point. And this was very early in our dating too, but it's like, I wanted to make sure he had emergency contact info. I think all of those things are important, and I'm not sure that we would have gotten there as quickly as we did if he hadn't eaten the shrimp. So thankfully he told me, nothing happened, still here, all good, and now we're better off, I think.
I think how you communicate with your friends and family is extremely important because the way that you communicate that to them is how seriously you're going to take it. I know early on when me and Kendra were talking and she would tell me about her allergies, she wanted to make sure that I understood like how severe it was and just to have that tone when you're talking to people of like, hey, this isn't something that like if she eats something that she's allergic to, she's gonna be okay. Her allergies are severe. So I need to make sure that I communicate that to my friends and family so that they, in essence, when they're preparing food or if they have questions, they feel comfortable enough to double check themselves and then also ask me.
Yeah, and I think that's a tough thing, right? Because as somebody with a lot of food allergies, one, because I have 20 food allergies, I don't even tell people about all of them, especially new people, because it's overwhelming. It's like some of them I can handle myself, but the severe ones are the ones that I make sure that people understand. And I think just in tone, like you said, I think that's important, but I also think repetition is important and reminding people. I'm used to having to think about my food allergies all day, every day. Most people don't have to think about that. If you don't have a kid or a significant other, or if you don't have food allergies or you're a parent or something, you're not thinking about what is going to kill me in terms of food. So I try to remind people that I'm around, hey, I'm allergic to seafood. I just want to make sure this doesn't have anything in it. Even if I know I've told them 5 times already, even if I feel like they should have it by now, I still always make sure to ask the question. And it's reading food labels. It's just reminding and just making sure people understand the importance because it is a process for people to get into that frame of mind. A lesson that I've learned that can definitely help other food allergy couples, I think, is patience. And I think that's one we probably both learned through this process. I think it can be difficult to be the person with food allergies and have to understand why don't they understand how important this thing is? And it's not because he didn't want to or like he didn't care. It wasn't any of that, but I think it was a retraining of his brain a little bit. He's used to waking up and just eating whatever it is he wants to eat that day. Whereas I have to read food labels, I have to go through this whole process. I have to ask questions when I'm at restaurants about the oil and everything. So it can be challenging, and I think to get somebody on that same page as you takes a lot of patience, and it takes patience from him too, of having to adjust his lifestyle and adjust his preferences in terms of where he eats and things like that. So I think we both just had to grow in that experience.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing that I've learned the most, or that's been most helpful, is really just how to order food for somebody that's allergic. Really taking the time that when she's ordering food at different restaurants, making sure that I'm listening to what she's saying. hey, it can't be peanut oil and it can't be cross contaminant. So they can't even mix the same food. So if they mix their French fries with different things, she can't eat at those restaurants. So that has been the most helpful of the times where she's allowed me to order the food for her. So that's helped, right? Because I'm a man, so I like to do that anyway. But obviously being able to make sure that I'm appropriately taking care of her. And then that also builds trust between us, right? Like now she knows when I bring home food, she already knows that I'm already doing the proper like protocol. So it builds trust in that regard. And then it helps me in regards to knowing I can actually order food for her and not having to worry about if it works or not.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you laughed a little bit and maybe learned a few things. Please follow me on nopecan'teatthateither.com. Also on Instagram, Facebook. You'll love it. Thanks.
See you guys later.